For years now, spring and fall have been the main seasons for the biggest and the most anticipated game releases each year, while summer and winter are that time of the year where gamers can catch up on what they might have missed recently. However, that trend is slowly changing, with the once ignored months now becoming a time for big game releases. And if you don't know what to expect, here's our list of the most anticipated games that will be released in February this year. If you're one of those hardcore gamers that complain that games are too easy nowadays, Nioh might be just for you. This action game from the renowned Team Ninja will be a blend of slashers like Ninja Gaiden and RPGs like Dark Souls. And it's safe to say that fans of both franchises will probably enjoy it, as we've already played 2 demos of the game that were released on the PlayStation Store a few months back. The game will feature a dark fantasy spin on the famous Sengoku period from Japanese history, mixing in demons and grotesque monsters with samurais, ninjas, and actual historical figures. Similarly to From Software's Dark Souls, the game will also feature unique PvP that will drive us mad, co-op if the bosses prove too challenging, and combos along with some special moves that will make sure that the game is more than just a clone of the popular punishing RPG. So, to sum up, if you like games like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3 or Salt and Sanctuary, you simply can't miss Nioh.
So began a millennium of conflict.
Oh, and speaking of samurais and medieval combat, Ubisoft's new IP, For Honor, seems like an interesting alternative if you hate Valentine's Day and romantic comedies, that is. The game will offer both a single-player campaign and extensive multiplayer where we pick either knights, vikings or samurais to fight with our friends in a fantasy medieval world. The game brings to mind titles like Lord of the Rings Conquest and will offer various specialized classes to choose from once we pick the faction we want to play as. A lot of hacking and slashing, visceral sieges and swordplay at its finest. That's what seems to be the core of For Honor. Last year's beta tests of the game have left some people with mixed feelings, as the game seemed chaotic at times and in need of more polish, but we keep our fingers crossed nevertheless, because we hope that For Honor will be a good debut of a new IP. If you're keen on action and stealth games, then you've probably heard of the Sniper Elite series. The 4th game in the franchise is a direct sequel to Sniper Elite 3 and will be set in World War II of the year 1943, where our protagonist will be tasked with helping the Italian resistance fighting against fascists. In comparison to the previous games from the series, Sniper Elite 4 will offer better AI and even bigger maps, as to quote the developer here, be a sniper paradise. The new entry in the franchise will also reintroduce cooperative missions and a competitive multiplayer, which were absent from the series as of late. What's more, Rebellion Development, the studio responsible for the game, is said to have improved character movement and made much more vertical locations that will require us to pay more attention to the surroundings and use climbing more than ever before in the Sniper Elite games. So basically, the game will offer more of the same with more freedom and gameplay choices, which is nice, I guess. Night in the Woods, which got funded on Kickstarter back in 2013, has suffered yet another delay and is set to be released this February. It might be an indie title with cartoonish graphics, sure, but the concept is too promising not to put on this list. In this adventure game, we play as May, an anthropomorphic cat who returns to her hometown of Possum Springs. Soon after reuniting with childhood friends, May discovers she has paranormal abilities and something strange is going on in the nearby forest. The game brings to mind shows like Gravity Falls, Twin Peaks, or last year's Netflix hit, Stranger Things, with a small American town being a setting for a mystery story with various eccentric characters. We don't know much else, but, well, that's a good thing. We wouldn't want the mystery spoiled now, would we? If you like games like Oxenfree or 2015's Life is Strange, then you'll probably love this indie title. Be sure to keep an eye out for Night in the Woods when it's finally released in a digital form.
That is what you're up against, James Cutter. We need to run. As far and as fast as we can.
In February, yet another cherished franchise will get a sequel, and that is Halo Wars. I know what you may think. Another console RTS? Are they nuts? Well, this time around the development teams have changed, as the project is being developed by 343 Industries, known for Halo 5 for example, and Creative Assembly of the Total War fame. And to be honest, Microsoft couldn't have picked a better duo to bring us a Halo strategy game. The game is set nearly 30 years after the events of the previous Halo Wars and just after the events of the aforementioned Halo 5 Guardians. According to 343 Industries, the game will also feature a new alien faction, the Banished, led by a menacing warlord by the name of Artyox. When it comes to gameplay, one of the officials at Creative Assembly has stated that the game will not be a Total War clone and the studio will instead try to build upon the formula introduced in the first Halo Wars, where combat against various units will be based on a rock-paper-scissors-like mechanic. Even if you're not necessarily a Halo fan, this game might still prove to be a good RTS, as Creative Assembly's touch will do the title good.
The massacre was only the beginning. Who did this to us? Who attacked the tribe?
Okay, so we talked about the Microsoft exclusive, and here's a Sony exclusive. Horizon Zero Dawn is probably the most hyped game of the season, promising an action-adventure experience with an open world, RPG elements, and robotic dinosaurs. We play as a young woman, Aloy, who's been living with her tribe for the most of her life and sets out to the dangerous post-apocalyptic world on a journey of self-discovery. The game is being developed by Guerrilla Games, known for the Killzone franchise, and has been supposedly in development for 6 years now. And well, such a production cycle is always bad news, but looking at the stunning trailers, that doesn't seem to be the case here. It's also worth mentioning that the game is running on Sony's Decima engine, seen recently in the second Death Stranding trailer. Oh, and one more thing, the story was penned by the lead writer of Fallout New Vegas, so in other words, all aboard the hype train.
Many great civilizations have arisen, thrived, and eventually perished in that time. Now another world struggles for survival and perhaps even its own greatness.
If you remember the 90s, then you've probably heard of the cult classic Planescape Torment, which is considered to be one of the 3 best classic RPGs, next to Baldur's Gate and Fallout 2. Planescape Torment won't get a sequel for a while because of copyright issues, but Torment, Tides of Numenera is intended to be its spiritual successor. The expectations for this particular RPG are something of a mixed bag, frankly. On one hand, we have many big names behind the project like Chris Avellone, and the game has set the record for the highest funded game ever on Kickstarter. But on the other hand, the release was pushed a few times now, and I think it's nearly impossible at this point to meet the expectations of the Torment diehard fans. Nevertheless, let's not jump into conclusions before the release. Even if it doesn't turn out to be the best RPG ever, it might still be a perfect pick for the fan of hardcore RPGs like Pillars of Eternity or the recently released Tyranny. In a nutshell, Tides of Numenera will feature classic RPG gameplay with an isometric view, but with a much bigger focus on story, dialogues, and interactions with the environment, while item hoarding and battles take a secondary role. The expectations are very high, and at this point, we just hope that the game is half as good as we want it to be. Okay, so those are our picks for the most anticipated games of February. In case we've missed something interesting or your favorite, please let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, I'm Jordan, and stay tuned at GamePressure.com.